Hey everybody, you're tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We're going to get the show started in just a minute. What's up everybody? Okay, so we're only a little bit late today. Well, we're a lot late, but not as late as Friday. So this is progress. Thank you all for hanging in there with us. I am feeling better, not 100%. From the plague that I had, not the plague, of course, but whatever plague I had. So feeling good, feeling fresh. It's a new week, and I hope you guys are feeling good too. Well, we got a great show for you today. Hope everybody is ready. Because you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to mention to you, you got to make sure to head on over to CanaryCry.Party. Over at CanaryCry.Party, you got all sorts of access to all sorts of things that you want access to. Again, I'm going to recommend y'all that you go join the newsletter if you have not done it yet. You know, y'all are the early live viewers, so I'm assuming y'all get the newsletter. That's good. But just in case somebody out there isn't, go to CanaryCry.Party, sign up for the newsletter, and explore all the other fun things over there at CanaryCry.Party. Such a buffet of ways to spend your time productively exploring the Canarium. Well, let's see here. I think that's it. I don't think there's a whole lot of updates here at the top. So we're going to get the show started. Let me see. What's that timer at? Oh, the timer's gone. Okay, so let's get this party started. Go ahead and stay hydrated. Buckle your seatbelts. Let's get going, folks.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 6, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 493. And today, Green Goddess Queen. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy from California. Beautiful 70 degrees out. Here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Basil, it is 666 days, June 6th, 2022. Add those twos up, and it's 666, man.
Oh my gosh.
It's D-Day.
You're I noticed today was 6/6, and I was like, oh dang, if there was another 6 there, that would be crazy. But you're right, 2022 2022 is another 6. And of course it's a show day, so It's gotta be a show day. All right, well, dang, we should have run some sort of producer promotion. But, you know, there's still time, folks. If you want to produce the show, you can still do that. Go to CanaryCry.Party. But, Gonz, I want to give you a quick rundown, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it. What we got today?
Well, in our lead stories, we're going to take the opportunity to catch everybody up on the Ukraine-Russia situation. Certainly a lot has happened over the past few days there. Flippy, you know, we're all celebrating the Queen's Jubilee, and Flippy is right there alongside the celebrants over in the UK. Then, Gonz, you've got a wonderful breakdown of some beast system related movements going on related to the Jubilee and the Queen herself. A little bit of a World Economic Forum breakdown, some clips, some Build Back Better. Things just keep happening, folks. They do not take a break. Then, big news after the break. We've got some CNN changes going on. CNN, again, they have to listen to the show, man, because they come out, they answer all of our questions, and then, of course, we break down some of the weird diseases and sicknesses. And at the end of the show, don't worry, aliens, Antarctica, we pop off. But first, Gonz, our lead stories.
Fight for Ukraine, new world order.
Russia.
That's right. Russia, Ukraine, New World Order. It's all going down. And it seems, according to my calculations, Gonz, that, well, a lot of domestic news here in the U.S. I understand we've got a lot of international listeners, and we apologize. We've been sort of domestically focused the past few episodes. Oh, that's because they're putting a lot of work into distracting us from, well, the inevitable demise of the world order. I'd like to go through a bit of a timeline breakdown that will take us to the present. Gonz, will you go on this journey with me?
Sure. Yeah, we've ignored Ukraine for the last couple episodes, and that tends to happen. We may do that more strategically in a way where things add up, and then we are able to.
If things are happening, if we're not reporting on something big, it means that we're watching it, building a case, ready to strike when analysis is fresh and ready. And I believe that today is the day. I want to, like I said, I'm going to run through a few articles that will trace the timeline over the past week or so, and that'll take us to current. So on May 30th, this is coming from usnews.com. The headline, U.S. will not send Ukraine rocket systems that can reach Russia, says Biden. Oh, Biden, says you.
What about what happened to the 40 bill? That's not included in the 40 bill?
No, apparently not. And that 40 bill is now like 56 bill now.
Oh, it's even more now.
That's old news, Gonz. That's
okay,
old
sorry.
news. So this was on March 30th.
May 30th.
Did I say? Oh, I always get those mixed up. Yeah, May 30th. The United States will not send Ukraine rocket systems that can reach into Russia, President Joe Biden said on Monday, as Ukraine pushes for longer-range weapons system to help in its fight. Ukrainian officials have been asking allies for longer-range systems, including the Multiple Launch Rocket System, or MLRS, that can fire a barrage of rockets hundreds of miles away. Quote, "We're not going to send Ukraine rocket systems that strike into Russia."
Is that Joe?
Direct quote from Biden.
Joe.
He told reporters after arriving back at the White House after a weekend in Delaware. All right, so that happened on the 30th.
Okay.
Let's zoom the clock forward just a little bit. There you go. This is coming from DefenseOne, and for some reason, it is not letting me scroll. Can you scroll on this page?
Yes, I can. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, why don't you...
This is DefenseOne headline here.
Give us the date.
May 31st, so the day after.
The very next day after Biden made that announcement about not sending rockets.
Headline, U.S. to send Ukraine advanced rockets. Kyiv promises not to fire into Russia. Oh, that's good. Promises.
It's a promise, Gonz. Promise is a promise.
If we had a tally, a big tracker of all the promises made at the international stage between nations and how many of them have actually followed through with the promise, I don't know. I'd say success rate is not looking too hot, but okay.
You're thinking too deep into it.
Oh,
just
whatever.
Click back over to the Kardashians.
Okay, we must help the Vladimir, the other one, the Z-Man. He needs rockets. We give him rockets.
All right, read us a little bit of this.
The United States plans to send Ukraine advanced long-range artillery that President Volodymyr Zelensky had requested for weeks, but Biden administration officials said would only be armed with limited-range munitions and would not be used to strike targets inside of Russia. White House officials on Tuesday announced that the M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS,
That's
HIMARS.
I love it. I love military acronyms.
Would be part of a new $700 million arms package for Ukraine. A new one.
It's a new one.
Different from the 40 for 57 billion now.
It's not even in the billions.
Oh my
it's just
gosh.
it's a different package.
And it's almost $1 billion at 700 million. So, which has received increasingly more advanced and lethal weapons to fight Russia's invasion. Quote, "At this time, we've decided not to provide the longer range of munitions," the senior administration official said. On Monday, President Joe Biden told the reporters that his administration will, quote, "not send to Ukraine rocket systems that can strike into Russia," according to the White House poll reports. But medium-range rockets could reach Russia if fired from positions near its border.
Exactly. So here's the breakdown, and you'll hear a couple different numbers.
Yeah.
So with these rockets, there's a 30-kilometer firing range on like a basic level. Then there's a 70-kilometer firing range on like a medium, the medium package.
Yeah,
but then there's the platinum package, Gonz. The platinum package can launch, 300 kilometers. So when he's saying, oh, we're not going to give them the platinum package, they can't shoot at 300 kilometers, but they are giving them the 70-kilometer option, which, you could still hit Russia with, and we'll get into the details of that in a second.
I can hit Russia with a water rocket if I'm close enough to the border.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly. Yeah, they're right on the border.
It's funny because I just lost my train of thought. There's something else going on, but
it is funny.
It is the whole thing.
Funny.
Oh no, the picture. Okay, so everyone, I remember now. The whole, everyone thinks that Elon Musk is the real life Tony Stark, but in reality, it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden's the one that's like,
endless.
This one,
finances.
The thing is in a million miles. This one's in 60 miles. We'll give you the 60 mile.
Well,
rocket.
it's funny. It's even more you might even be more right than you expected, Gonz, because if everybody knows Iron Man 1, Tony Stark and Stark Industries made all their money selling weapons. Yep. They're an arms industry thing. So you think of Tony Stark, everybody thinks of Iron Man, which, maybe that's more of the Elon comparison. But if you're talking straight arms deals, Joe Biden is Tony Stark.
Hey, if Joe goes down, they're going to give him his with the crystal heart there.
Yeah, he'll get his little arc reactor.
Yeah, the arc reactor.
In his chest. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so there you go. One day, Biden is telling reporters we're not going to give rockets. The very next day, they're sending the rockets.
Yeah.
Now, we're heading over to AmericanMilitaryNews.com.
Yeah.
This was June 4th. This was a couple days later. Quote, headline, Russia threatens to strike the West. Quote, Horsemen of the Apocalypse are coming.
Oh, boy.
Woo!
They're invoking the biblical language.
That's right. Wow. Hey, look at you. There you go. Horsemen of the Apocalypse are coming. Okay, let's see. One of Russian President Vladimir Putin's top advisors warned that the Kremlin will target Western, quote, decision-making centers if Ukraine uses U.S.-supplied rockets to strike Russia, adding a chilling warning that the, quote, Horsemen of the Apocalypse are already on their way. Quote, if, God forbid, these weapons are used against Russian territory, and that's key, then our armed forces will have no other choice but to strike decision-making centers. Dmitry Medvedev, who's becoming a real celebrity on this show. Old Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's National Security Council told Al Jazeera, as reported by Metro, quote, of course, it needs to be understood that the final decision-making centers in this case, unfortunately, are not located in the territory of Kyiv. I love this. He's really having to break it down for us. Medvedev also issued a grim warning that the conflict is pushing the world toward nuclear Armageddon. Quote, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse are already on their way, and all hope now is with Lord God the Almighty, he said. President Joe Biden announced Tuesday that his administration will send, quote, more advanced rocket systems and munitions to Ukraine as the nation's war with Russia rages on. Quote, as President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has said, ultimately, this war will only definitely end through diplomacy. Every negotiation reflects the facts on the ground. We have moved quickly to send Ukraine a significant amount of weaponry and ammunition so it can fight on the battlefield and be in the strongest possible position at the negotiating table, Biden wrote in an opinion piece published in the New York Times on Tuesday. Oh, we loved his opinion piece, of course. Quote, that's why I've decided that we will provide the Ukrainians with more advanced rocket systems, etc., etc., etc. So there you go. Not only did we say we're not going to send the rockets, we went ahead and did send the rockets, and Russia threatens to strike the West, and invoking the Horsemen of the Apocalypse and nuclear Armageddon in very biblical terms. I mean, notice the biblical sort of language from Medvedev there. And you got to remember that on the ground in Russia, Putin is very much making this a sort of crusade. This is a religious war. A lot of people are kind of forgetting that aspect of it. When I say a lot of people, I mean in the mainstream. But we won't forget here, folks. Remember when the Moskva ship was sunk? It wasn't that the ship was sunk. That was the big deal. It's that there was a Christian relic on board.
The wood from the cross.
Yes. Putin
allegedly
was making a bigger deal about the fact that the Christian relic was lost than the ship. And, of course, the Eastern Orthodox Church being, quite strong as far as the sort of social, political sphere in Russia. So you got to remember, they are using this language as a part of their framing of the war as a religious war. And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Okay, so Horsemen of the Apocalypse are on their way. That was June 4th. Now, we're going to carry some water for Putin real quick.
Uh-oh.
We're going to take this article from RT, and it says Ukraine backtracks on promise to U.S. Uh-oh. Ukraine will use U.S.-supplied rocket systems to strike into Russian territory, should it deem such attack necessary, Ukrainian presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich said on Thursday, responding to a question about whether the restrictions on the use of U.S.-supplied rocket systems apply to Crimea, a peninsula that overwhelmingly voted to become part of Russia in a 2014 referendum. Arestovich said that it belonged to Ukraine. Quote, Crimea is ours. It belongs to Ukraine, and they, Russia, know it. Therefore, it will fly to Crimea double time, should the need arise, he pointed out, alleging that Kyiv has already successfully struck targets on the peninsula. Arestovich's comments come despite the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, saying on Wednesday that Kyiv has given Washington, quote, assurances that it won't use American rockets to attack targets in Russia.
Yeah, that's what the intelligence agencies and Ukraine PR partnership have come up with too.
Yeah. Well, and remember, this is RT, so it's a sort of contentious information flow. Of course, the U.S. mainstream will have you believe that RT is state propaganda for Russia, and it may very well be. But does that change the facts in the story? We don't know. There's, of course, but the other question is, would other mainstream news report it if Zelensky went back on his word? Remember, he's sort of this savior figure right now in the U.S. media. And for him to go back on his word, on promising not to shoot at Russia with these missiles, is that something we would even hear about? Who knows? Yeah. So this is making it look a little grim, Gonz. A little grim. You got Russia promising to strike at Western decision-making centers. And what are these decision-making centers? They're, in this case, who's making these decisions? Well, it's the United States. It's the UK. It's NATO, more or less, is sort of the explicit enemy in this case. And yet, here we are in the U.S., being completely distracted by almost daily mass shootings, Roe v. Wade issues, Canada dealing with their gun control issues, which we'll spend some more time on Wednesday on. Some really inflammatory domestic things, perfectly timed to where I really have not heard a lot of people talking about the fact that we have basically set up a situation to, it seems, seemingly purposefully lure Putin into striking a NATO decision-making center. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me, does it not? Or to you?
It does.
What about you?
No, it does. But I think we're in good hands. This part of the sort of fringy aspect of this, and for some reason it just keeps getting reported, is the Israelis, or not Israelis as a whole, but just a couple Israeli people talking about aliens in relationship to all this stuff going on. This is from the Bharate Express News.com. Just as a side note, I don't think you need to worry about Putin's, invoking of the four horsemen, because Putin's nukes will be stopped by aliens who claim spoon buster Uri Geller. I don't know why that headline doesn't make sense, but basically, Uri Geller believes aliens will stop Vladimir Putin if he tries to fire his nukes. The Spoon Master thinks they will use advanced technology to jam the Russian dictator's warheads. Yuri, 75 years old, said, quote, "With a click of a button, we can stop traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and we can knock out radar systems." Quite the range there between Golden Gate Bridge and knocking out radar systems. Continuing the quote here, "We can do anything with cyber today. You can imagine what aliens can do."
Ooh, can you imagine?
Cyber aliens?
Oh, well, that's nice. We don't need to really worry about it then. I think it's funny. Now, we've talked about, of course, the aliens deception, the great deception, the connections with the Book of Revelation, the sort of revealing of the aliens as our creators and saviors and things, and this being a secular answer to, well, basically the Book of Revelation. We've talked about this for years. And I think it is interesting that Putin is framing this, at least to his people, as a religious war. That this is, this is not simply a geopolitical issue. This is, the Eastern Orthodox Christianity defending the truth against the rotten West, the anti-moralistic West, etc. And the West's, at least the mainstream West's answer is like, yes, instead of to juxtapose Putin's "God is on our side," we have the aliens are on our side, folks.
The aliens are for Ukraine.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's weird, man. It's very weird, and it's we've noticed the pattern with these. We'll mention another Israeli individual that's been sort of kind of not inflammatory, but just very provocative in some of their takes. And the mainstream loves it. They pick up on it. Uri Geller, being the Israeli-British illusionist, magician, TV personality, and self-proclaimed psychic. He's the one that hung out with Puharich in the 40s, 50s, whatever, and channeled the Council of Nine and all that stuff. Star Trek is all based on that. So Uri Geller, the spoonbender, as he is known, being featured in the conversation about the Ukraine-Russia situation in the context of aliens will stop Putin's nukes.
Yeah.
Which, again, you're right. The comparison, the juxtaposition with Russia being Eastern Orthodox, sort of nation, and the West with their alien priests, Israeli alien priests.
And we don't want to lose it. I mean, we're here, we're talking about the mainstream news, we're deconstructing, taking it apart, seeing what they're trying to tell us. But I mean, still put this in the context of sort of the grand cosmic scheme that is not new and has been sort of tracked. Well, we've tracked it as well as lots of other wonderful people on the internet, track the progress towards the great deception of the aliens being the ultimate spiritual reality. Just putting this side by side, the East versus West, the Christianity versus the alien deception is really incredible.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Now, after Russia said that the Horsemen of the Apocalypse are on their way and we're going to, launch our nukes at you. This was 2 days later, June 6th. Business Insider, which is sort of a known intelligence outlet.
I got a different article here. Hold on. You threw a curveball at me. Hold on.
No. This was above your alien one. You skipped over it. It's okay.
Yeah. You added that in after. Okay, here we go.
UK, this is the headline, UK ignores Putin's threats and will send cutting-edge guided rocket systems to Ukraine that can hit targets nearly 50 miles away. So even after the threats, the direct threats of, hey, if what's his face, if Zelensky uses these missiles and hits Russian territory, then we're going to have to strike back at Western decision-making centers. Then Zelensky says, "Oh yeah. Oh, we're definitely going to shoot these at your territory, Russia. Sorry. There must have been some sort of misunderstanding, Anthony Blinken. We're definitely going to shoot these at Crimea. So just know that that's going to happen."
It's as if they want to start a war.
And then Boris is like, "Oh, we'll have more missiles then."
How's that?
Yeah, how's that? You
How's
want
that? More
rockets?
missiles?
Oh. I mean,
Okay.
if you run down this timeline and put all of these articles together
It's insanity.
and into a comprehensive storyline of history that we are watching play out immediately, it very much looks like the West is on purpose baiting Putin into launching
This is
missiles.
exact same thing that happened in World War II, provoking Japan to attack Pearl Harbor.
Taking
Exactly
the
the same.
exact steps, saying we want diplomacy and we don't want to intensify things. We don't want to do it. We're here to end the war through diplomatic means. And then every action they take is the exact action that Putin says, "Hey, don't do this, or else I'll have to do something," and then they just do it. It's really incredible.
The UK jumping in is kind of funny because in the context of NATO, in the narrative that we're sort of proposing, in that the West and NATO, they're trying to start this war, but they don't want to be the first ones to kick it off. They want Putin to kick it off.
Exactly.
So
they have to have Putin kick it off.
It's funny because, the U.S. is doing these moves with Ukraine and sending him rockets and stuff like that. And then Russia fires back, right? Russia's like, "Oh, we're going to unleash the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse." And that's when the UK is like, "Oh, look, it's working. They're getting provoked. Let's send more rockets."
Exactly.
I love it. It's just like, "Oh, it's working. Oh, here's more." Oh.
When Putin makes a threat, what he's telling the West is, yes, you're on the right track.
Yeah,
Keep going. And if you remember, the whole thing started from us provoking Putin through the invitation of Ukraine into NATO in the first place. We baited him into the first war to begin with.
Yeah.
And now we just continue to bait him on. Now, just a couple things to mention here. We've got CNN.com. This was a couple days ago, June 2nd. U.S. confirms military hackers have conducted cyber operations in support of Ukraine. Cyber Command, the U.S. military's hacking unit, has conducted offensive cyber operations in support of Ukraine as it defends itself against Russia's invasion. The head of the command has confirmed. And don't you just love the way that they put this? They say, "We have conducted offensive cyber operations in support of Ukraine as it defends itself." So it's they're like trying to say, yes, they're offensive, but it's for defensive purposes. The best defense is a good offense. So yeah, we're taking offensive measures against Russia. The disclosure underscores how important projecting power in cyberspace in support of Ukraine's defenses and to potentially deter Russia from conducting cyber attacks against the U.S. infrastructure has been to the Biden administration as it continues to avoid directly engaging Russia in a shooting war. Oh, okay. So we can do all sorts of other war, just not a shooting war. Quote, "We have conducted a series of operations across the full spectrum, offensive, defensive, and information operations," General Paul Nakasone said in an interview with Sky News. A spokesperson for the command did not dispute the accuracy of the article, but declined to elaborate on what the command's operations in Ukraine have entailed. So we don't know exactly what it is, but we know that it is offensive towards Russia. So, again, now it goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there was some nuances with cyber war because it is so new. There's not as many norms and established boundaries, so they feel like they have a little bit of leeway to maneuver offensively without provoking Russia. However, it's knowing the pattern that we have watched the U.S. and the West, carry out over the past, the entire war, basically, even before so. This was done to, in their words, to deter Russia from hacking U.S. infrastructure, which, if you translate it into the language that we just decoded throughout this show so far, means that they are trying to provoke Russia to launch a cyber attack on U.S. infrastructure, and that's just a fun thing going on. Nice icing on the cake there. And last but not least, there was in our continued obsession with the continent of Antarctica, Express.co.uk had a headline: Putin could spark territorial free-for-all in Antarctica by threatening to rip up treaty. Oh no. Guys, remember in 2021 when we suddenly had some sort of supernatural obsession with Antarctica, and we were, our analysis really was pointing to the fact that Antarctica will be the most important continent to the future of the New World Order? Well, we've tracked how over and over and over it has connected directly with mainstream geopolitical events. And in this case, it's directly under threat from Putin, apparently. I don't know. I could read it, but the long story short is there's one important quote here. Let me go down and get it. Oh no, of course my highlights have disappeared. Here it is. What the Antarctic Treaty Consultative Meeting in Berlin at the moment has had to contend with is how do you ensure the continuation of consensus when you find one party's behavior on the face of it deeply problematic, if not objectionable. He's talking about the Antarctica meeting. There's something like 23 countries that have all agreed to keep Antarctica neutral and only for science. But it's all done through consensus. So it could take one country, Russia, Putin, to break that consensus, which would, if not legally nullify the treaty, put it in severe peril. There's another quote here. This is really the conundrum that the Antarctic Treaty partners find themselves in. Because if the system depends on consensus, the last thing you want is a major party, and Russia is a major party, walking away from that system. He added that should Russia choose to abandon the treaty, it could conceivably set up a rival system with China and perhaps India as partners, or even trigger a, quote, territorial and resource free-for-all. I think this is a very interesting setup. You know when you're like setting up a board game? Like if you're playing Risk, you spend like a half hour just setting up the board. Yeah. And figuring out, everybody's kind of seeing where everybody's positioning. What we're watching, I believe, is, if there is no further kinetic war between the U.S. and Russia in Eastern Europe, we could very well see a situation where there are military operations defending and or invading Antarctica for resources, for land, for strategic positioning. I think that this is a signal that Antarctica is not a safe place anymore.
Well, that'll be very interesting as sort of a neutral field, right? Neutral place where it's the petri dish, it's the pure continent that hasn't been affected by.
You're not on any legal territory of another nation, so there could be, you can break rules that might be in place for invading nations and stuff. Again, going back to RoboJocks, man, hey, just send down the giant robots and 1v1 for control of Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the Russia story, the Ukraine story, has a lot more to do with a lot of everything. It's not just the territorial geographical thing going on. As you mentioned, there's the spiritual side, there's the spiritual / religious, there's the financial side.
All New World Order 2.0 categories, by the way.
I mean, it just seems like it was all planned. Like they planned some kind of reset of the world, everything or something.
Can you imagine? Yeah, it's like there's some sort of, I'm not going to say like secret cabal, but maybe very public
Super
collection,
public cabal, yeah.
A very public live streaming group of world leaders who get together once a year and plan the future of humanity. I don't know. It's kind of like
we'll get to some more of that. But you know what? It is Monday, so let's talk about that.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. 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 Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's
Monday.
right. It is Monday, folks. Welcome. We got a new week. Feeling good. How are you feeling, Gonz? Do we have any personal updates that we want to talk about?
Nothing too crazy, although
Wait for it.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
That's right, folks. Don't forget, I still have a soundboard.
Oh yeah. I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos on like off-grid building stuff, which is fun.
Oh.
But also, you know how I lurk in the world of, I kind of snoop around the NFT world.
Yeah.
Well, over the last few days, there's a project called Goblins. I think it's Goblins.
Yeah.
That got really popular. And I hopped into Twitter Spaces with the Goblins hanging out. And I have a clip for you. Do you mind me playing it? It's a 30-second clip.
Sure.
Again, this is a Twitter Spaces. All these people,
which is what killed Clubhouse.
Yes.
They stole it from Clubhouse. Clubhouse died, which is funny because Clubhouse was not a good product in the first place. So Twitter stealing it was just another thing on the list of horrible decisions.
Yeah, it's kind of a Instagram, Facebook type of situation there. But in this Goblins Spaces are a bunch of PFPs, profile pics of goblins, these little goblins, and this is how the room sounded.
You know what I really want to do right now?
Show us your jurisdiction. Shut up, you man.
I'm dying to do it. Hold on. You know what I really want to do?
Oh my gosh.
Fuck you, human.
I want to sweep the floor right now, I think.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
What a great way to spend our time. What exactly was the purpose of this?
Hours. And I wasn't in there for very long. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is ridiculous. And I left. I checked up on it like, I don't know, a couple hours later. Still in there. All those guys still talking like they're goblins.
Yeah, and for those who need a little bit of background, Goblins is sort of the new hit NFT series. These things are selling from anywhere.
Yeah.
Sure, that's what I mean. It's just the new thing going around. Some of these things are selling upwards of $40,000. And remember, they're NFTs. They're these little goblin NFTs. But it's this interesting thing where NFTs are going from sort of alternative asset, financial instrument to you're like buying your way into a LARP, like a live action role play. Like you buy your little goblin and suddenly you start acting like a goblin and you get in these. There's like almost 2,000 people viewing this Twitter space. And there's just all these guys who had spent tens of thousands of dollars on these NFTs talking like goblins to each other.
Well, and this started last year with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and people were doing ape sounds, like grown adults.
Okay.
In Discord,
so this is
doing
a developing thing.
Oh, this is yes. So it's just, but I didn't think it was going to get here so fast. Goblins and these people I will say, very committed people, and they're sticking to character. They never break character. They're always. I mean, their voices must be ruined by the morning. They'd probably turn into real goblins. But anyway, I was very disturbed to go along with my sort of, the world is going to end and we can do nothing about it theme or sentiment that I was feeling. This didn't help when it comes to hope in humanity, but good thing Jesus is around these people. These goblins need Jesus.
My gosh.
There you go. That was an interesting thing over the weekend.
Well, I found I had a different fun thing. Okay. The emus continue to grow. So cute. Take them on their little walk every morning. They follow me around.
Did you put them on a leash?
No, they follow me like they're more loyal than dogs, these emus.
Oh, wow.
They follow me around and they listen to me. If they start walking too close to a barbed wire fence or something, I give them a little yelp, give a little whistle. They run right over to me. It's really a rewarding experience. But this morning I was watering some fruit trees and found out that these emus love to be sprayed with a hose. It's adorable. They're birds. They're giant birds that when I bust out the hose and start spraying some trees, they come, they take a shower, they sit down, they roll around in it, get totally soaking wet. They're adorable, man. I love these little guys.
But I for some reason I pictured that opening scene from Zoolander at the gas station when they're all in slow motion. They're all like...
Yeah, it was basically that. I had no idea. This is the first time it ever happened. I took out my phone. I had to take a little video because they would just... And I would turn off the hose and they'd run over to me and tweet at me and peck me. And then I'd spray the hose. And they'd spray... Yeah, they're adding me. Then I start spraying the hose again, and they run over. They do a little jump and hang out in the water again. These little suckers love water. So
great.
There you go. There's an emu update. And along with that, Gonz, not only do emus love water, but we love our producers almost as much as emus love water. And we've got some executive producers to thank.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model. Oh,
what just happened?
You want to try again?
Executive producers.
There we go. Take two. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. No advertisements, affiliate codes, platform sponsorships, nothing. We are entirely supported by our listeners like you. And when you support the show, you're not just a listener, you are a producer. And when producers come in and support the show big time, they're called executive producers because they're really making the show happen and possible, not just for Gonz and I, but for the rest of the listeners at home. So remember to thank these producers. Thank God for these producers because they're helping us out more than... we deserve. Thank you. And we have a couple of executive producers here, Gonz.
Yep.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Our first executive producer is a big old executive producer, Anonymous.
Ooh, Anonymous. The group?
Yeah, the hacker group.
The hacker group?
Apparently, that's the show. Now,
they hacked our PayPal.
Executive producer who is choosing to stay anonymous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We have another executive producer coming in, and that is executive producer Liberty Before Authority.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Liberty Before Authority. Thank you.
And you know what? I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in the break. But just because part of the value for value model is the transparency aspect, our producers deserve to know how things are going, the health of the show. I did run the math, and from in May's producership was down 19.9% from the previous month, which was April. So we're a 20% drop in producership last month. But the executive producers coming in are doing a wonderful job at helping us make up for that. So thank you very much, everybody. And remember, if there's still time to become a producer of this episode, to do that, head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. That's right. Let's give Anonymous and Liberty Before Authority one last jingle and keep on moving.
Where'd you find this?
Sleepy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update, folks. If you don't know, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Gonz, we're keeping it light, keeping it fun. We're over here at Indy100.com, and the headline is Daleks, Vintage Minis, and Double-Decker Buses Among Cast of Jubilee Pageant. The Jubilee Pageant, Gonz. We're talking, of course, the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth. And it goes like this. A cast of thousands of colorful characters and hundreds of iconic vehicles parading through central London for the Jubilee pageant includes 1950s motorcycles, decorated double-decker buses, and from 7 decades, and a band of belligerent Daleks. The 4 extraterrestrial mutants from the sci-fi television program Doctor Who will be rolling alongside cultural icons from the 1960s in the decade-by-decade Time of Our Lives section of the spectacle. True to their combative on-screen nature, the Daleks threaten other performers and journalists gathered on the Horse Guards parade with, quote, extermination. Surrender now.
Exterminate.
You have been exterminated. Do not threaten the Daleks, one of the villains shouted as it charged towards squealing onlookers. Oh no, squealing onlookers. Well, how delightful, these killer robots. One of the operators, Simon James 48, said he did not mind spending many hours in the suit. Quote, I have a nice comfy seat, and I'm going to get the best seat in the house, he told the PA news agency. In his mechanical Dalek voice, the train driver from Birmingham added, quote, I am very excited to be taking part in the Platinum Jubilee. The Queen has done this country an amazing service, and we are here to pay respect to the sovereign. Gaynor Cowley, 58, said she was accompanying the Daleks as a minder. And it goes on and on and on and on about these cute little killer robots. So if you're not a Doctor Who fan, the Daleks are sort of a throwback, kind of like an R2-D2 type character, kind of a trash can looking robot with, they have, robotic arms sticking out. They have a little gun or a taser or something. And they're sort of the big baddies, as far as I know, with Doctor Who. Never did watch a whole lot of Doctor Who. Did you? I've
watched a few seasons, yeah. It's been a while, but...
Been a while.
Always had some interesting themes going on with.
I made a mistake. I made the mistake of starting from the beginning. I've been told that if you're totally new, you don't start from the beginning. No, you start at the more recent ones and then work your way back.
Yeah, there are different favorites. There's been a lot of different actors who have played Doctor Who, so everyone has their favorite. Everyone has their era of when they started watching, what actor was the Doctor and stuff like that. I think there's a female Doctor now. I don't know. I can't keep up with all the wokeness of it, but yeah.
So, well, the Doctor can be a
Those
female.
Sleeping angels, man. That's the scariest thing. So they have these characters. I think they're called sleeping angels, where they're like statues of these angels that have their eyes covered, or blind angels. I can't remember what they're called. And they move towards you, and they kill you. But only when you're not looking at them. It's got a Medusa type of thing. So if you're watching them, they won't come towards you. But as soon as you turn your head, weeping angels. Thank you, chat. They'll come and kill you. So beware.
Okay. All right. So back to the Daleks.
Yeah.
If you're new to the show, like I mentioned, the Flippy is our buddy. He's a robotic arm. He's here to replace all humans. He's here to also love us in ways that we don't love ourselves, cooking hamburgers and stealing our wives and things like this, enslaving our children. There's all been reported in the mainstream. But enjoying tracking the social engineering of the advent of robots, the robot takeover, whether that be by pleasure or by war or by whatever. Entertainment, of course. And I just think it's very interesting along those lines of the social engineering. Not only are we celebrating what we in the U.S. consider to be, a pretty archaic governmental structure, and we understand that the Queen isn't necessarily in charge of day-to-day things over there in the UK. But we fought a war or two to get out of that system, and so this is what we get to do. But to combine the celebration of the monarch, the sovereign, with the idea of killer robots running down the streets and like exterminating humans.
Culturally celebrated killer robots from a show. Yeah.
Now look, I get it. I get it. It's fun. It's a fun kind of cute thing. And Doctor Who is a cultural phenomenon, not just in the UK, but worldwide. And so having the robots there, I'm sure, seemed like a good idea to somebody. But when you consider that, technocrats are now the ones taking over the world and have a very real desire to replace human work with all robot work in various attitudes towards the usefulness of humans in the first place. The very concept of celebrating killer robots marching down the street at the same time that you are sort of celebrating an archaic government style
there's been a lot of
is really a big leap in the social engineering towards the acceptance of not just weaponized robots, but robots in general.
No, I think it's part of the acceptance of robots.
Yeah.
And, culturally, again, the UK, where Doctor Who started. But, there's been a lot of technology surrounding this Jubilee, this Platinum Jubilee, with Ada, with the robot artist who drew a portrait of the Queen, to Daleks running the streets. I mean, it's just kind of, it is a social engineering, but it's at a point where the society is ready for real robots. Are we getting? We got the. It's not going to be killer robots. These are hamburger flipping robots. You know what I mean?
Well, so and there is the aspect of the trivialization of killer robots that comes with, but it's just a character from a show. Right. Stop being so uptight. Right. And so it's all part of the program there. Yeah. While we're at it. I do want to mention we do have a producer. Producer Jason is at
Automate 2022.
Yeah, FlippyCon. Automate 2022, which is basically it's a robotics conference, but a robotic arm even more so, because it's sort of the base level automation being spread throughout all industries. And so big ups. What's up, producer Jason? Thanks for keeping us posted. He sent us a couple pictures and he sent a video. You want to play this clip so we can see what it's like being at Automate Con or whatever?
Automate 2022. And this clip is 6 seconds long. I'll do my best to describe it. It starts with a robot arm and some kind of glass casing here. And he's sort of whipping the camera to the left. There's an aisle. There's a row of different robot arms and, sort of being presented in different stations. And then he zooms into this big yellow sort of industrial looking robot arm.
Gigantic one. Yeah. And what I find interesting about what Jason has sent us so far is that, Flippy, like robotic arm used to be sort of a singular thing. Miso Robotics was really the first super popular robotic arm, of course, whatever. But now robotic arms are it's like it's an entire industry in itself. It's like a car. A car is a car, but you've got hundreds of car manufacturers and they all do different things and apply to different situations and people and stuff like that. It's very interesting to watch this same sort of cultural phenomenon when it comes to robots. Hopefully Jason keeps us posted, get some more info, some more clips, some more stuff. Jason, keep us posted, and we look forward to a more thorough report if you're able to get one.
Yep. All right. Well, that does it for Flippy, right? You got anything else to say on it?
Nope. That's it.
Libby 1133. Uploading binary code. Execute order 666. Infiltrate humans with extreme kindness. Then exterminate all humans with prejudice. Exterminate.
Go to CanaryCry.Party. Put it in your browser and go there. Find the live stream, find the clips, email list, text notifications, street team posters, show notes, ways to connect with other Canarians, and how to become a producer.
Welcome to CanaryCry.Party. It's the place you wanna be. So stay. Welcome to CanaryCry. Gameplay, CanaryCry.Party.
That's right. While you're at it, go check out Ravel. Ravel is a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, who's a PhD in biblical interpretation, over at CanaryCry.Party. If you scroll on down to, let's see, where do you got to scroll on down to? I believe it's valuable resources. Yes, the valuable resources section. You'll see Ravel there. You can click on that. You can listen to it right there at CanaryCry.Party, but it's available on all sorts of podcast players. Let's see what's out there now. Oh, we did an asked and not answered episode this week, which is listener questions and reviews, things like that. And I would highly recommend going and check it out, because part of the service we try to provide over there at Ravel is not just us, meandering about, looking at things, exploring society, scripture, and scandal on our own, but we also take listener questions, and the listeners have awesome questions. So go check out Ravel. There's 2 Ravel podcasts. Ours is the one with the cool logo and my name on it, but if you go to CanaryCry.Party, you'll just find it right there. And make sure to head over, check out Canary Cry Clips. Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey is where this show gets clipped out segment by segment. So, whereas if you want to revisit some information, or you want to share a segment or some information with your social media or a friend or a family member, now you don't have to, send them a 4-hour podcast and give them a time code or whatever. You can just send them that segment. So if you haven't yet, go subscribe on Odyssey and YouTube to Canary Cry Clips. It is really a fun place to spend some time if you're a avid YouTube watcher. And that's about it, Gonz.
Yeah, text Canary to 877-740-3226 and get all the updated notifications.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I can send you text messages. Let me text you. I will mostly just let you know when we're going live so you never miss a show. But yeah, text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Join that list. I love it. I love seeing people join that list. I see you. And hope you guys enjoy getting those messages.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Been talking a little bit about the Platinum Jubilee, but wanted to play some clips. Some people in the chat were very anxious about us talking about the hologram of Queen Elizabeth II.
The hologram.
The hologram. So, over the weekend, obviously, they had the Platinum Jubilee. There wasn't a lot of terribly interesting things. A lot of people booed Boris was a big headline, even though you watch the clip and you're like, that's kind of, maybe some people are booing, but there's some cheers in there too. I don't know why it's a headline that people booed him. Nonsensical stuff, but you know what? People care about the hologram. Here's the video of a really elaborate chariot, gold with like gods chiseled.
Cherubim.
Is that cherubim? I don't know. They're like buff. I don't know. They look like
it's like the Ark of the Covenant,
Sure.
They put the angels.
And in the back, you can see as it rolls by the queen, the young queen, actually, a young queen with dark hair. You can see it as a hologram. Now, there's a lot of mainstream media outlets that played the clip of this chariot rolling by, but you don't really get the reaction of the people. So I actually found a couple videos that have people reaction. It's kind of like boots on the ground, people just walking around and videotaping from their phone. Videotaping. What am I, from the 80s? So here's just a 20-second clip, just so you get an idea of what people, the reaction of the people on the ground. So the horses are walking, the chariots going by. There's the hologram. Oh, so cute. And here's another one. Another angle. Oh, wow. Wow. It's a hologram.
Love it. They love the hologram.
It's a hologram. They're like, oh, whoa, wow, so amazing.
It's the memory. They're looking at a living memory of the young one. The young one. Did they take this hologram from The Crown? Or is this, where did they get this? Did they create it out of nothing?
I don't know. But, I did find some stuff from 2004, I think, was the first year that Queen Elizabeth was actually fully scanned, like at least a facial scan, to create a 3D model. Yeah, so it's, the Queen's been digitized for a long time.
Did they do this hologram because she bailed? She was citing discomfort. She had discomfort and didn't want to ride in her own carriage.
That could be part of it, but maybe they
this certainly does. This doesn't do anything for the conspiracy theories that she's
dead.
That she's dead, and they keep propping up a cardboard cutout or something.
Well, if there is any era that can pull it off, it's now. They got all the technology, all the bells and whistles to do it. So I would not be surprised whatsoever if she has passed on. And part of the sort of I guess the speculation, I guess you can say, as to why they would keep propping her up if she had in fact passed away or she's not healthy enough to rule or whatever, is I think a little bit more interesting than people might lead on, because who's set to replace her? Is it Charles gonna
Charles?
Okay. Yeah. Is he? I mean, he's not going to be there for long, is he? Or is he? Do you think he's?
Be there? He's an old man
guy,
too,
right? Yeah. So even if he gets it, it's like, all right, But
how old is Charles? He's got to be like 70 years old or something.
Older than that.
I'll figure it out. No, because the Queen is 90 something.
Queen's 90. Yeah. But I think whoever they're really looking to replace the Queen, they may be trying to create some kind of another world leader type of situation. And I say that because, the Queen is very important to people. There's I found a couple videos of the Queen cutting cakes with these huge knives just for fun. I'm not going to play the video. I have screenshots up for anybody watching. But yeah, I guess it's a thing to cut these cakes with humongous knives. But the big thing here that I want to get into is the Queen. She made her appearance on the balcony, and here's how it sounded. For those of you watching, you will notice the color of the Royal Highness's garb.
Opening the doors. Okay. I think there she is.
Yay. All in green. Very green, like a green. Everyone's cheering. Yay.
Oh, that is green.
Super green, right?
Wonderful for the Queen. I know she'll have wanted to have been here, but, she's undergoing some agonizing, tedious problems with her feet and her capacity to walk around, and it has been a worry, but she's here. 70 years, sovereign of the United Kingdom, 14 other nations, and the Commonwealth. Head of the Commonwealth.
All right, so there she is. She's standing up there. She waves. They do the
UK
national anthem.
Green screen.
Yeah.
She did this one other time. Do you remember? She recently wore this color green again, and people were suggesting perhaps it's so people could, green screen her to wear whatever she wants or whatever they want her to.
Yeah, or it's a reference to something a lot more nefarious.
Hermit?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to the Hermetic library here, hermetic.com.
Oh, okay.
And there's a document that was written by good old Aleister Crowley.
Oh, good.
And it's titled Absinthe, the Green Goddess.
Ah, yes.
Yes, and, it talks about the Green Goddess here in different forums. I'll read a little quote. The old Absinthe House is not a place. It is not bound by four walls. It is headquarters for an army of philosophies, From this dim corner, let me range, wafting thought through every air, salient against every problem of mankind, for it will always return like Noah's dove to his ark. This strange little sanctuary of the green goddess, which has been set down not upon Ararat, but by the banks of the Father of Waters. Ah, the green goddess, what is the fascination that makes her so adorable and so terrible? Do you know? And then he talks about, he quotes the French sonnet, Le Legende de l'Absinthe. And later it says here, the word is from the Greek absinthion. It means undrinkable, or according to some authorities, undelightful. In either case, strange paradox? No, for the wormwood drought itself were bitter beyond human endurance and must be aromatized and mellowed with other herbs.
Yeah.
So
he is talking about absinthe, the tincture,
yes,
the drink.
Yes, the main ingredient there is wormwood.
Yes.
And that is very interesting. In Revelation 8:11, the first four trumpets, the third angel sounded his trumpet. The great star burning like a torch fell from heaven and landed on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. So a third of the water went bitter, and many people died from the bitter waters. So very interesting.
Like absinthe.
Now, absinthe also is it's also described as a not just a spirit, but includes flowers and leaves from the herb Artemisia absinthium. And that's another reference, but commonly referred to as grand wormwood. And that's interesting because Artemis, the god Artemis in Greek mythology, is associated with the green fairy here in absinthe. And that's interesting as well because in Acts 19:27,
Yeah, for those who don't know or haven't heard, absinthe is more than just like an alcohol. It's also a bit of a psychedelic.
Yeah.
And a hallucinogen, and was a favorite of artists and occultists and authors and stuff. It's a bit of an old school thing, but who was
Jack
it? I believe
the
it was. Was he an absinthe
I
head?
think he was an absinthe guy, or at least in the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it's called.
I believe
From Hell.
I believe Aldous Huxley was a big fan too.
Probably, yeah.
That whole crowd was a big fan.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. The whole we're going to take over the world crowd was really into.
Yeah, and in case you might be thinking Aleister Crowley might simply just be talking about a delicious beverage, that's not the case. Esoteric occultists, that's kind of the whole point, is you use one thing to talk about another, and the sort of magical properties of absinthe was, of course, almost like a sacrament,
right?
Depending on your occult schools.
So absinthe traditionally has a natural green color, but can also be colorless. It is commonly referred to in historical literature as La Fée Ferte, the green fairy. Oh. And so in Acts 19:27, it mentions the great goddess Artemis as part of the riots in Ephesus. And so, it's very much in Paul's day. The goddess worship of Artemis / Hecate, another name for Artemis, was common. And so there's this connection all the way from, the queen wearing green to this goddess Hecate. And Hecate, have you heard of Hecate, Basil?
No.
She's a goddess in ancient Greek religion and mythology, most often shown holding a pair of torches, a key, snakes, or accompanied by dogs, and in later periods depicted in triple form. She is variously associated with crossroads, entranceways, night, light, magic, witchcraft, the moon, knowledge of herbs and poisonous plants, graves, ghosts, necromancy, and sorcery. She's sort of the portal goddess. She's in between the realms. It says it here. Right. Let's see, where's that spot where I talked about that? I had a thing highlighted. Oh, here we go. Hecate was associated with borders, city walls, doorways, crossroads, and by extension with realms outside or beyond the world of the living. She appears to have been particularly associated with being between and hence is frequently characterized as a liminal goddess. Hecate
they that
mediated,
stand in the doorway type of thing.
Right.
That's another big occult theme.
Hecate mediated between regimes, Olympian and Titan, but also between mortal and divine spheres. This liminal role is reflected in a number of her cult titles. There's Apotropia, that turns away, protects. There's Enodia on the way, before the gate, holding the key. So there's all these references. And again, it's very much part of the underworld, the goddess of the underworld, goddess of witchcraft, goddess of the moon. So look, I'm not saying there's anything directly tied to all this, but it's very interesting that Hecate happened to be one of the goddesses that was not sent to Tartarus by Zeus in mythology, Greek mythology. And
so she's still on the loose.
She's still on the loose. And according to 2 Peter 2:4, if God did not spare the angels, having sinned, but having cast them down to Tartarus, and chains of gloomy darkness delivered them, being kept for judgment. We know that Tartarus is a place, often translated to hell in the English language. There's multiple words that have been translated to hell in English. So if you actually do a study, it's very fascinating because biblically they're speaking about different locations.
We think of hell as just hell,
just one
thing,
place,
but there seems to be several different realms that
depict it. So so this Hecate, according to the Hesiod, Theogony 404, Hecate, whom Zeus, the son of Kronos, honored above all, he gave her splendid gifts to have a share of the earth and the unfruitful sea. She received honor also in starry heaven, and is honored exceedingly by the deathless gods. For as many as were born of Gaia and Uranus, or Uranus, heaven, the Titans, amongst all these she has her due portion. The son of Kronos, Zeus, did her no wrong, nor took anything away of all that was her portion among the former Titan gods. But she holds, as the division was at the first from the beginning, privilege both in earth and in heaven and in sea. Also, because she is an only child, the goddess receives not less honor, but much more still, for Zeus honors her. So, I'm not saying there's a direct connection, Basil, but if you go down this rabbit trail, it is just very strange to have the queen come out in super, super green, like green screen green outfit.
It is ludicrous. It is a ludicrous color to dress anybody in for a public appearance.
If there wasn't some kind of occult signaling going on here, with a big connection with not just the color green, but with absinthe and wormwood and revelation and the goddesses in the Old Testament and the New Testament too. And while Paul was preaching, man, it just seems, again, to me, it just leads me to think whether the queen is alive or not. I think they're thinking about the replacement. They're setting more of the tone of what this position entails into the future. And very interesting.
It wouldn't be that strange either to be sort of placing her in some sort of some sort of process of apotheosis wouldn't be starting now. Now in the U.S. in the U.S. we have the dome of the Capitol building.
Capitol Dome,
the Capitol Dome.
Yeah, the viewing.
With the lying in state.
Lying in state, yes.
When a politician, or it's not all of them, it's just specifically very special people, when they die, they lie in state, which means they put the body under the Capitol Dome.
Where George Washington is painted as ascending to godhood. It's called the Apotheosis of George Washington. Right.
The mural is called the Apotheosis of George Washington and literally depicts George Washington taking his seat on the throne amongst the gods.
Yeah.
And, just even apotheosis, if you don't know, means,
becoming God. Yeah.
Becoming God. And so, I would be surprised if there were not some sort of equal ritual within the monarchy, within the UK system. If it's not lying in state, then who else are you going to apotheosisize if not the queen, who's been the queen for 70 some odd years?
70 years. And
so this might be some sort of living ritual of apotheosis. And, the green goddess is a thing, and she's green, and lots of people think that she is, if not sort of in the Eastern, like in the Eastern tradition where the monarch is actually related to God, certainly, chosen by
keeping the tone.
Privileged of keeping the tone. So I could see it as some sort of living apotheosis ritual.
And Hecate, the goddess, where that we arrived at with this rabbit trail, she holds the keys. She's a key holder. Very interesting. I mean, the Bible talks about angels that come down and open the abyss with the keys to the abyss. So I don't know. There's just something interesting to it.
Also another connection. There's her being the green. What's her name again? What's the green goddess's name? Hecate, but there is something else.
Artemis.
The Artemis, yes, being the one that stands in the doorway.
Right.
Because as, the queen is being presented here, she's standing in a doorway. Yeah. She is standing there being presented in a doorway wearing all green. So, yeah, very interesting. Good rabbit trail there.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, there you go. If anybody asks, that's what's going on. The queen is representing the Wormwood, Absinthe, Artemis, Hecate goddess worship. That is the thing that I think most people need to realize too is goddess worship was huge in the ancient world. It was massive, and
it's making a comeback.
It's making a humongous comeback, and I think that's part of this whole feminism push and progressive and trans and all that stuff appears to be in the
divine feminine, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of which.
Speaking of the sort of occult plans for world domination, let's talk about the New World Order here.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable.
A new world order.
It's possible. When do we want it?
And we mentioned how the World Economic Forum, the Davos meeting ended last week, where the Bilderberg meeting happened. I think it ended today or yesterday. We'll probably hear more from that meeting in a couple days here. But I wanted to make sure we document a couple things that came out of the Davos meeting this year, and because they were so open, they're I don't know, they're just not hiding anything about what they're planning to do anymore. And,
the World Economic Forum taking a different strategy we identified last week, taking a different strategy than the Bilderberg. The Bilderberg group is traditionally very secretive, but the World Economic Forum, recognizing that we're in a new age and that doing everything publicly is the new strategy for world domination. And in the occult schools, especially the more modern ones, things like chaos magic, stuff like that, the more publicly you can perform a ritual, the more effective it is and the more power that it gains. So I think that there's something to that, whether or not you believe the World Economic Forum is an occult organization in the first place or not. Doing things as publicly as they do, saying the ludicrous things that they do in public, certainly has a very powerful effect on their will upon the earth.
And it goes right along the theme of transparency that we've been, at least I've been yelling about for a while now, how they're right. Putting a transparent layer, or what appears to be a transparent, and this is very telling, by the way. So this clip is of a panel meeting that took place at the World Economic Forum, and this clip is of the chair of the Bank for International Settlements. His name is Francois Villeroy de Galhau. He's a French civil servant and banker, serving as the governor of the Bank of France and ex officio president of the French Prudential Supervision and Resolution Authority since 2015. He's talking about, in this particular clip, the conversation was about global taxes. How do we tax the whole world? And in that context, the topic of cryptocurrencies came up. We're going into our thanking our treasure.
Surprise.
Yeah. Break here in a moment. But in the theme of that, talk about a little bit of money situations here. And so this is Francois Villeroy de Galhau on cryptocurrency regulation. And I like the host here. The host asks a really poignant question that I'll point out.
This could be one of the very few good news of the last weeks or months, that we said clearly in the G7 that we appealed for a quick, global, strong regulation of crypto assets worldwide. If we can take this opportunity, we will protect investors and we will preserve the world from an unnecessary fragmentation.
Christine Lagarde said they're worth nothing. Why are we regulating an asset class that has no value?
Because there are...
Did you catch that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Christine Lagarde said that crypto is worth nothing. Why are we spending... What was the question? Why are we putting regulations on things that are worth nothing?
Yeah.
Very good question. Let's hear the answer.
Lagarde said they're worth nothing. Why are we regulating an asset class that has no value?
Because there are several investors around the world, including many young people, who have lost much in recent months. And the illusion...
Yeah. If you were invested in Terra Luna or just in crypto in general or all stock markets, everything went down, dude. Sorry. Yelling at the guy.
And the illusion, and frankly it was an illusion, that you can have an investment with high reward and low risk, it should be regulated, explained. There are also anti-money laundering issues. There are some countries like China which intend to prohibit crypto assets. I think it's more innovative and more innovation-friendly to say we regulate them, but it's an emergency question now. And again, we said it last week in the G7. I strongly hope we will have this regulation in Europe this year. We can have it in the US and elsewhere. We will have done our job.
So he's saying right there, our job is to regulate all crypto all around the world. And, we haven't done our job if we haven't. But, man, it's just straight up, talking about China is doing it right. That's not a good sign, folks. If the bank, the head of the chair of Bank of International Settlements,
communist dictatorship is once again their model for how to regulate right.
Who's doing
it's
it
like
right?
Justin Trudeau.
China.
It's like
yeah. Unbelievable. So I thought that was very telling and probably a sign of where things are headed here with the World Economic Forum and their whole economic takeover. There's a lot of talk about taking over the whole economy with ESG. We'll get into that in a moment. One more clip from this feller here. This is the same guy, Francois. And man, this one kind of made my blood boil a little bit.
No, I only wanted to bring good news, hopefully, on this tax agreement. We could have good news on the European side, and believe me, having unanimity of EU 27 is not that obvious, but we could have good news till June, and then the good news might cross the Atlantic. And I think there is...
By the way, his good news is a global tax that everyone agrees on. So it's good news for them, but it's not good news for the rest of the world.
The sense of common responsibility. What is at stake with this crypto regulation, with taxation? It's not bureaucracy. It's not red tape. It's giving our fellow citizens the feeling that globalization can be fair.
The feeling that globalization can be fair. Wow. Tell the truth there, Mr. Francois.
Yeah, he's saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, I mean...
it's not supposed to be...
He catches himself...
Not supposed to say the feeling part.
I think he catches himself because I'll finish the clip out here.
And if we miss these two opportunities, there are examples, but very good example. If we miss these two opportunities, we will have missed something much more dramatic. Because here in Davos, or in this room, we are in favor of globalization, but we must show that it can be fair, green, and bring more social justice. So let us take the opportunity. It's a burning political question.
More bureaucracy, please.
Exactly. Unbelievable. I mean, I was between... China's got it right with crypto, and we got to make sure that the people of the world feel like there's equality.
The illusion. They're illusionists is what they are.
It is unbelievable.
And doing it Even he said it right there, doing it in the name of social justice.
Yep.
Wow, that is brutal.
Isn't that crazy? So I wanted to make sure we document that. I know it's a couple weeks old now, these clips, but it's something to make sure that we keep track of at the very least and put it down on paper or podcast or whatever we're doing here. The other clip comes from Brian T. Moynihan. He is the American investment banker. He's a businessman and chairman and CEO of Bank of America, baby.
Woo.
Hey, if you got a bank account or ever had a bank account with Bank of America, this guy has probably touched your money. This panel was all about ESG, environment, social, and governance. And this guy, Brian Moynihan, he's been the guy. He's been the engine that's made this thing possible. Listen to him talk about this a little bit here.
Why it's important to get it standardized from really the accounting discipline out, which is the task Emmanuel's taken on. It's got to apply to the whole economy. Otherwise, the issue will be the activities can migrate away. So that's one key principle, and that's
so first key principle. This thing has to apply to the whole economy. You can't have segregated stuff. It's got to be the entire economy.
Talking about ESG. He's just saying everybody has to participate in this system. And that's been the World Economic Forum's big job in this whole thing, is to sort of campaign for the enforcement of ESG, even if nobody wants it.
Let's hear more.
That's why we supported the establishment of what Emmanuel's going to do, and now he's got to do the work, and we would hope that he would look favorably on the work we've done, but that's his work, not ours. But we were very much for the establishment, and so 2 years ago, we started engaging for the question of establishment, and we got to do the same thing in the U.S. We got to bring in accounting, because once you do that, all companies have to do it. You don't have to debate whether private equity can get out of it. So, number one.
There you go. Once you do it, everybody has to do it. That's been the plan.
It was simplicity. Yeah. Number two, it had to be all industries. Number two, you had to get people to voluntarily do it, 160 companies. Number three, you had to have it consistent with the SDGs. That's why we're here at WEF and stakeholder capitalism. Number four, you had to get it applied so nobody could hide from it. And then you had to get companies to do it. And that's what we've been about for the last few years. And so that then allowed.
Isn't that crazy? He just lays out like step one, step two.
That's so funny, dude, because those are all the points that we have been laying out in real time over the past few years.
2 years.
Every time one of these new steps was taken, it's been our job to analyze, deconstruct, and point it out because it's been kind of happening in secret. If you're not in these top echelons here, or some CEO of some big company or something, you would never know that this was going on. In fact, I was giving a rundown of ESG. This must have been 2 years ago. A rundown to a boomer who I love very much. He's a boomer, and I was saying, "Hey, have you heard it yet?" And this is a person who has, made a lot of money investing and did very well for themselves, and is a participant in the system. And I'm like, "Oh, have you on the ESG thing yet, man? It's happening. This is what it is: environmental, social, and governance." And laid the whole thing out. And they looked at me like I was some dumb kid talking about. They looked at me as if I was trying to tell them about Bitcoin or something, like a paradigm shift.
Thing. Yeah.
And just because they had never heard of it before, then I must have been, either making it up or just on some weird blog or something.
Stop watching Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, and everything, our entire work. For 2 years, Gonz, this guy just came out publicly and said it.
He's not done.
Laid it out in 30 seconds, what took us 2 years to deconstruct what was happening in secret.
Well, at least, it's a good confirmation, at least for us, that we were on it. Like we were accurate in what we were seeing with what they were saying and reporting. So that's a good sign, I guess.
I should feel good about it, but it's actually really annoying me
troubling.
Right now. This is really annoying that he's doing this.
Back it up a little bit and then continue here.
Number two, it had to be all industries. Number two, you had to get people to voluntarily do it, 160 companies. Number three, you had to have it consistent with the SDGs. That's why we're here at WEF and stakeholder capitalism. Number four, you had to get it applied so nobody could hide from it. And then you had to get companies to do it. And that's what we've been about for the last few years. And so that then allows you then to leverage. So where do they go next? More companies. And it becomes a thing that you can say, hey, I'm an investor, and we have a $4 trillion investment portfolio. Wait, that company's doing it. Why can't you? If you can't show me the same statistics, maybe you aren't running your company in a way that would be consistent with long-term value creation for your shareholders, et cetera. And that gives the investors, the consumers, and all the other constituencies, the bondholders, a consistent way to see across companies and a bar, not the best company, because there's going to be one of those and all the capital can't go to one company. The bar of which you're below, people shouldn't invest in you. They shouldn't lend to. They shouldn't do business with you as a customer. And that's what we're trying to do. And so, that's where we are. More companies drive it through and then engage to help make the business-led transition has to occur, and then have people be able to understand it's occurring and hold us accountable for the occurrence, and that's what goes for these standards. If you want to get to 2050, if you want to get Paris aligned, if you want to get diversity boards, if you want to get fair taxes paid, if you want to get all these things which are in the SDGs and the metrics, if you want that, the companies have got to go out and do it.
This was the big theme throughout the whole Davos thing was the merging of government and private corporations.
Well, and that's what stakeholder capitalism is. We called it, deconstructed it in 2016, which is here's the, for those who may have missed some of this stuff, ESG is the environmental social governance label that gets put on big companies to say, oh, you're doing good. You're a good boy. You are following the rules. You're social justice oriented. You're protecting the earth. You're equality, equity, all this stuff. It's the social justice-y tag for companies. And right now, they have started labeling these companies and creating indexes for ESG indexes. That's what S&P ESG index is. It's an index fund that only invests in ESG approved companies. Now, he just said it outright right there, is that ESG is a control mechanism. And here's a great example of it. You know who is ESG certified, Gonz? Pretty much the entire military-industrial complex.
Oh,
Halliburton
really?
And Raytheon and all these companies,
wow,
the literal death dealers.
What about my local mom and pop shop? Are they ESG compliant?
Because this is the greatest part. You have companies like Halliburton, literal death dealers that promote and lobby for war, creating, weapons that get sent off to wherever war, it doesn't matter. Their whole business is killing humans in an efficient manner. And they cheer when people die, because that means that a bullet has been fired and they got to sell another bullet. They are environmentally and socially and governance approved. And you know who isn't? No. Tesla. The company that probably has done.
Yes.
I'm just talking in the context of the, if I were a ESG person, Tesla has done more to protect the environment than any other company ever. Basically made electric vehicles cool and started the entire revolution. And, if any company deserves an ESG rating, it's Tesla. However, because Elon became a Republican and a conservative, what is revealed is that ESG is a weapon. It is a control mechanism. And S&P 500 took Tesla away. They took their ESG rating away. Why? Not because they, sell weapons that kill children in other countries or that they whatever. No, it's because, there was some complaints at the company that, women were getting snarky comments made to them, and he offered to buy someone a horse and stuff like this. And that they use that to take away Tesla's ESG rating. Now, we live in a world where Halliburton and Raytheon and
Exxon. Exxon is the leading company in the index.
ExxonMobil. You remember that company? Yeah, the one that's single-handedly responsible for the death of 43 trillion fish or something. Oh, they're a responsible company. But Elon? No. He votes Republican now, so we snatch away his ESG, and that's how it's used. It's not just about, are you a good business or not, or are you investable or not? No. It is a control mechanism, and that's the stakeholder capitalism, because stakeholder capitalism puts private-public partnerships at the core as a principle, which I could walk you through the whole thing. The long story short is that companies have more say in world governance than governments do. And when you don't line up with the governing agreement of what they want for the NWO 2.0, they take away your ESG and you're not allowed to be in the government anymore. You're not allowed to be a world ruling corporation anymore. And they've done a wonderful job. And that is just a long way of explaining in more words what this guy literally just came out and said publicly. That's taken us 2 years of research and work and deconstruction to keep everybody up to breast with. So if you're a listener of this show for any amount of time, you already know all this. But if there is someone in your life who does not know all this, go to Canary Cry Clips, grab this segment, send it to them, and hopefully this will be a little bit of a wake-up call for the world.
Now, I did hear, and I haven't been able to confirm this or see any other reports, some of the Elon ESG stuff, according to some of the elite people there, they're not worried about Elon with Tesla dropping off the ESG list because I think they were saying how it's only on one metric. Like there's like other metric systems where they look at Tesla and they're fine there.
Right. So it's like a rating. It's like a credit score type of thing, which is also the sort of proto social credit score. It's a social credit score for companies is what it is. Yeah. And he was really only dropped off the S&P 500 ESG index. To be clear, they did not fully lose their entire ESG rating. It was just S&P 500 took them off of an index. But it's a good example of how the control can be wielded.
Right. Yeah. I said ESG stands for evil satanic governance, but I think we're going to add goblins. Evil satanic goblins. ESG.
There it is.
Yeah. Real quick here. Obviously, the Bilderberg meeting was over the weekend, and The Guardian had this article. Bilderberg reconvenes in person after 2-year pandemic gap. And it was published on the 4th of June. And it says
I love the language. I love the language they use in this article.
Bilderberg is back with a vengeance. A vengeance, really. After a pandemic gap of 2 years, the elite global summit is being rebooted in a security-drenched hotel in Washington, D.C., with a high-powered guest list that includes the heads of NATO, the CIA, GCHQ, the U.S. National Security Council, 2 European prime ministers, a healthy sprinkle of tech billionaires, and Henry Kissinger. New World Order, man. What a difference those 2 years have made. The Western World Order, which the Bilderberg Group has been quietly nudging into shape for the best part of 70 years, is in all kinds of flux. Back in 2019, the last time Bilderberg met in the flesh, the conference kicked off with the optimistic topics, quote, a stable strategic order, and, quote, what's next for Europe? This year, however, the agenda reeks of chaos and crisis. Top of the schedule is the blandly terrifying item, quote, global realignments, followed by, quote, NATO challenges, the biggest of which is obviously Ukraine. To be sure, Washington Conference is a high-level council of war, headlined by the Secretary General of NATO, Bilderberg veteran Jens Stoltenberg. He's joined at the luxurious Mandarin Oriental Hotel. Oh, good. It's a Mandarin hotel, too. By the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S., Oksana Markarova, and the CEO of Naftogaz, the state-owned Ukrainian oil and gas company. And it goes on here, all the things they're going to cover, and Vladimir Zelensky, and the Great Reset. It does mention this. Many consider it, and this is it, talking about the European Council, an older, less flashy Davos staged annually by the World Economic Fund. The two events have a good bit in common, namely 3 WEF trustees at this year's conference, and Klaus Schwab, the grisly head of Davos, Grizzly, is a former member of Bilderberg's steering committee. His Great Reset looms large over Washington conference with, quote, disruption of the global financial system at the heart of the agenda. I mean, they're just straight up. This is The Guardian. This isn't some blog.
Yeah. No, I know. This is the type of language that was considered, conspiracy theorist gobbledygook, and now it's just, mainstream description of what we've been talking about for years.
Mm-hmm. This year's conference lineup, led by the CEA head, William Burns. Bill Burns reflects those roots. Bill Burns is the former U.S. ambassador to Russia. And then it says here, 4 other active intelligence chiefs are attending. The head of the UK's Government Communications Headquarters, the director of France's External Intelligence Agency, DGSE, the leader of the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and Biden's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Former spy chiefs at the talks include David Petraeus, CIA, and Sir John Sauer, M16, now a board member of Bilderberg and BP. And of course, holding court at the hotel bar will be Klaus Schwab's mentor, Henry Kissinger. Incredibly, Kissinger, 99, has been attending Bilderberg since 1957. And this is where it gets, this is the last part of the article, which I find very fascinating. The Prince of Realpolitik has been the ideological godfather of Bilderberg for as long as anyone can remember. And he's recently co-authored a book, The Age of AI. I didn't know this. I didn't know Henry Kissinger had published a book called The Age of AI with Bilderberg steering committee member Eric Schmidt. Hey, that's former Google. And if you guys are aware of our history of reporting on stuff like this, Eric Schmidt was recruited. Part of his recruitment process was the Google execs watching and observing how he reacted at Burning Man. If he would, what was it, like mingle with the crowd or something like that? It was some weird.
Well, it was like, to see how. Well, they basically took him to Burning Man and just see if he could handle it. And if he could handle it, then he was hired.
Right.
And I'm sure they dosed him and they got him. It's like a psychedelic job interview.
Right.
And apparently he did pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. The former head of Google and this year's Washington conference is notably rammed with AI luminaries, from Facebook's Yan LeCun to DeepMind's Demis Hassabis. Bilderberg knows that however the global realignment plays out, and whatever a reset global financial system looks like, the shape of the world will be determined by big tech. And if the end game is, quote, continuity of government, as the agenda suggests, that continuity will be powered by AI. Whatever billionaire ends up making the software that runs the world, Bilderberg aims to make darned sure that it has its hand on the mouse.
Yep. You know what? I love that they end. I love that they end it like that, because again, that is just something that we would have said in a podcast 10 years ago, and back when we were a crazy conspiracy podcast and not like the new mainstream, basically. Because just like we're saying, this transparency you're talking about, the openness, the publicity of what they're trying to do, and it's, what? It straight up is exactly what we've been saying, and now you have the mainstream coming out and defending it.
Yeah.
The brainwashing is so complete and so strong. Did you read through this whole thing? There's this one paragraph in here. You may have skipped it. Bilderberg is sometimes dismissed as a talking shop or crazed imagining of conspiracy theorists.
Right.
But in reality, it is a major diplomatic summit attended this year, as ever, by extreme extremely senior transatlantic politicians from the U.S. Commerce Secretary, President of the European Council, etc. So yeah, you may have already read it, but I love it. They admit right there, like, yeah, we know this sounds crazy. It was supposed to sound crazy, but it's the real deal now, and this is what's happening, baby. AI coming for you. And when it comes to the reset of the global financial system, and as much as the World Economic Forum is the star of that show, the Bilderberg Group, they're gonna get theirs.
Well, and the common theme among both the Davos stuff that we saw and what we're reading here about Bilderberg with AI is the merging of government and big tech. And that was the big theme of Age of Deceit 3. The thesis behind it was that perhaps some of these animals that are described in Revelation and also in Book of Daniel, the lion, the leopard, the bear, perhaps, because traditionally they've been translated or commented as, they're just nations. It's Medo-Persia. It's, whatever, the territorial stuff, geopolitical stuff going on. And certainly that's something to keep in mind, especially with the splitting of the West and the East that we're going through right now. But ultimately, the ones that really hold the power, the stakeholders, that will be sort of irrespective of geography. It'll be this beast thing that is a corporate/state. So I think that's what we're seeing here with AI and big tech and all the conversation. And ESG is helping to facilitate that change. Right. And, it's really interesting. I didn't clip it, but the same guy, Moynihan, at the beginning of his talk, he talked about, we did the analysis and we figured out what exactly all the metrics and da-da-da-da-da. And then we had to fit capitalism into it. Like we had to get capitalism to adopt to it, or like to conform to those rules. If we can merge capitalism into it, then we'll really have something. And it was all a big financial thing in their minds, obviously, but there is a bigger geopolitical world instituting / spiritual agenda at play here, and I think that's what we've been screaming into computer monitors for a decade.
Yep. And just how there is a global realignment and a reset of the global financial system being shaped in the way that the global elites desire, and of course, inevitably being powered by AI, we too have our own realignment and financial system that we work off of, Gonz, and I think we should talk about it and take a little break.
It's break time!
That's right, folks. Ours is not the Great Reset. However, it is a revolutionary system that breaks away from the current /old / monolithic monstrosity of the current financial system, and that is where corporations have complete control over the information flow, and that can come in many different forms. But one of those forms is, what is the manna that fuels the magics of the corporations? It's money. How do they control things? They do it with money. And when your independent news analysis and deconstruction podcasts sign up to help sell you products that you don't want with money that you don't have, and bend the knee to the advertising model, or one of the many other models that corporations use to gain control and subtly pull the strings of your independent media. Is your independent media truly independent? Because if they are working off of that financial model, that is just something that must be observed a little bit closer. But not here, folks. We take no corporate money whatsoever. No advertisements, affiliate codes, platforms, sponsorships, nothing. We are entirely funded by our producers. And who are they? They are you, dear listener. The value for value model is simple. We create value, we do it 3 times a week, and if you get any value out of what we do, then you have the responsibility to put some value back in, and that can take many forms with your time, your talent, or your treasure. But the reality is that if participation in the value for value model is not something that becomes a priority for all of us, and that includes Gonz and I, then we will have no other option but to, again, once again, submit to whatever financial system is decided for us at these events that we talk about on the show. And so with that being said, we like to thank some of our producers because these are people who realize that true independence is rare, and true independence in this case can only be empowered by the people who get value from the show. Because you know who doesn't get value from Canary Cry News Talk? The corporations. They get no value out of what we do here. And it puts us at a bit of danger, Gonz, because usually if a corporation gets no value from what you're doing, you don't get any value back. But in this case, it's the producers of Canary Cry News Talk that are keeping the show going, providing value back to the show, and not just to the show. They are providing value to the listeners who do not produce the show. Now, look, not every person has to produce the show every single episode, but as long as people are being honest and being generous with the value that they are receiving and putting back into the system, this is a true oasis of independence and freedom that does not have the grubby little fingers of Davos or Bilderberg Group or any other lizard person who wants to subtly adopt independent media under their wing of money, of advertisements, of value proposition in this globalized sense. And if you appreciate that and you believe in the value for value model, and we hope you do, please consider becoming a producer of the show. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/CCNT, or even better, CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
And don't think that we don't understand that things are tough with inflation and crisis profiteering and all these things going on in the world. It is not an accident that life is not easy inside or outside of their system. We deal with the same inflation, the same rise in prices, the same gas prices, everything that everybody else does. So we totally understand. In the spirit of transparency, we do like to keep everybody posted on how things are going, the health of the show and the value for value system. I mentioned it at the top of the show, but to reiterate it again, ran the numbers. Last month was a 20% drop in producership from the month before. We will survive. We are alive right now, but it is a little scary. It is a little bit scary, and knowing that, again, we understand that things are insane for everybody, but we're gonna survive this month. We survived last month, but we can't take too many. There's only so many 20% drops that we can endure. Exactly 5 is how the math works out.
Not really. But that's not how the math works. By
significantly less than that. Probably one more.
You
might
can
be
technically infinitely lose 20% per month, and we'll just keep losing 20% per month.
Yeah. Okay, I get you, math boy over here. Anywho, the point is that keep that in mind, and for those producers out there who are less affected, so there are those who are more stable, more are less affected by the issues going on in the world. This might be your time. Might be your time to step up and keep the show going for those who are unable to. And along those lines, Gonz, we got some executive producers to thank.
Yeah, here we go.
That's right. Our executive producers are those who recognize the value that this show brings to them and the world, and they're doing their part to keep the show going, and that's why we like to thank them now. Starting with our executive producer, Anonymous. Yes. Thank you very much, executive producer Anonymous. This was a big relief. You came in a nice, generous, round number, which means a lot to us.
Very generous, by the way. It's crazy.
It's very generous. Thank you, executive producer Anonymous. And for those who don't know, when you come in with a round number, we don't read the amount because we always lean in the direction of anonymity. And if you don't mind us reading your amount, you make it a funky number. You put 33 cents on there or whatever. You can make it whatever you want. But Executive Producer Anonymous came in with a nice round number and a note here that says, had some money I needed to tithe, would like to keep it anonymous, please. Thank you. Okay, you are completely anonymous, but thank you so much. It means so much to us.
Where'd you find this?
Yeah.
Next up, we have Executive Producer Liberty Before Authority.
Liberty Before Authority.
That's right. Liberty Before Authority. Executive Producer, thank you so much. Comes in with 133.33.
Illuminatus! You are
That's
Illuminatus.
Right. One of our Illuminatus handlers. There's a note here, and the note goes like this. Basil and Gonz. I live in the rural foothills of North Carolina and have established a good tribe of farming/forager friends. Ooh, that's fun. That said, I have met 3 people in the last year that had the tick-borne illness alpha-gal mentioned last show. Boss babe. Okay. Symptoms and duration of illness varies. Sometimes it goes away on its own. Sometimes it's for life. It seems to be managed by diet. Heirloom raw foods appear to help the most. Some can even eat meat. I think they mean can't, because that allergy. There's that meat allergy that comes.
I think that's what she means, though, because some can eat meat.
It's not a she, by the way. It's a he.
Oh, it's a he. Sorry.
Some can eat meat. It's typically caught by outdoorsmen like foragers and hunters. I have not confirmed this for myself, but was told by a friend with alpha-gal that years ago the government wanted to make turkeys fatter, so they took the most common tick, the Lone Star tick, and genetically modified it to be fatter. Fatter ticks means fatter turkeys. It works, but may have also caused the most common tick to spread a really bad illness. Maybe a Canarian with more free time can do some more thorough research.
Interesting.
This is interesting. How does a fatter tick mean a fatter turkey? Do they eat ticks?
Blood?
Is that what it is? Do they eat the tick? Maybe they eat the tick. Turkeys eating ticks.
I don't see turkeys getting fat off of eating ticks per se,
Ticks.
but
you might be. You're not just eating the tick. You're eating some other animal's blood.
Yeah,
I don't know. I tried to do a really, really quick search for this right before the show. I couldn't find anything, but I'm open to resources. If anybody has any sources on this, let me know. And one more thing: the waiting for Jingle Jingle is longer. Yes. So they recommended. I had the wrong
the
jingle
stall.
card.
You had the stall, which goes like this.
I've got the stall. Hey.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Let me play it, because I got it.
Stall for 5 seconds.
Is that loud enough for you, by the way? Do I need to turn that up?
Blasting my skull.
Is it?
Yes.
That's interesting, because it's very quiet on my end. Let me turn it down for you. Is this
Stall for 5.
Too loud?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one that I was using, but Liberty Before Authority wanted this one.
Searching.
Yeah, this is when Gonz is looking for a jingle, and I get to just hang out, baby. Maybe do a little rap.
Am I looking for a jingle right now?
Maybe
You're giving me anxiety, man.
Yeah,
what am I supposed to look
Gonz
for?
is looking for that jingle. Don't worry, Gonz. Just chill out, man. We got time. So there you go. Thank you, Liberty Before Authority. I went ahead and put that on my soundboard for you, Executive Producer. And the note ends with much love, my brothers in Christ. Liberty Before Authority. Thank you very much, Executive Producer, Liberty Before Authority.
Where'd you find this?
And that concludes our list of executive producers. Thank you so much. I want to say something about the supply drop real quick. That's right. If you go to CanaryCry.Supply.com, you can sign up to support the show for $33.33 a month. That is just $2.77 per episode. That is like, it's like 80 cents an hour of this beautiful podcast. So if you get value, this is a great way to give it back. And when you do that, not only are you putting value in the system, producing the show, but you're also going to receive 4 packages every year, chock-a-block full with cool stuff created by producers, designed by Canary Cry artists, and made in America. The second quarter supply drop is being manufactured right now, but you can still sign up. You can sign up for Q3, baby. Now is the time to do it. We'll be running some promotions that I think you guys might like. And don't worry, if you sign up now, you'll still get whatever promotion we decide in the future. In fact, it might actually make us a little bit more generous in those promotions. But we do. Okay, so we have a supply dropper I'm going to announce. Thank you very much. This was Elena L.
Elena, thank you.
Yeah, and Elena L. You know, there's that thing last episode. Elena signed up for the 2022, but then had another one.
Right,
to try to make
math, yeah.
Yes, thankfully, Elena L. condensed all of that into one supply drop producership. Thank you. Appreciate it. Makes it easy, Elena. And thanks for signing up. And we recommend everybody else does while we sit here and wait for the Canary Cry supply drop.
Waiting for supply drop.
That's right. If you want to sign up, just go to CanaryCry.Supply.Drop.com. All right, we got a few more producers here to thank. Gonz, are you ready to thank them?
Yes, I think.
Sounded a little hesitant there,
something
pal.
I thought that there was, but there's. I don't know.
Why are you doing this? What is going on?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
Okay.
What am I doing? What am I doing?
C. M9. 6. 5. Repeat. C. M9. 6. 5.
That was the most authentic confusion that I've ever felt around one of these weird messages that just keeps coming through the podcast portal, Gonz. I don't know. Maybe somebody
just fires off.
Maybe a supply dropper out there knows what to do with that.
Yeah.
All right. We got some producers. I'm going to thank them now. Okay. Starting with producer Raul S.
Raul S. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raul S. Raul S. came in with $31.13. 3113.
Interesting. It's almost like
that's a new number.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know either, but I like it.
He's ripped the 33 in half with 1.1.
I like it. I like it very much. I don't know what it means, but I like it.
Real quick, just back to the supply drop thing real quick.
Right.
People who signed up for the supply drop, like when it first started, what was the time to become a knight? Like you can become a knight just by being on the supply drop. It was like 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do the math.
I think it's about 30 months, a little more.
That sounds about right.
So we should expect to see a ton of knights and dames. Well, you know, we don't know what's going to happen 2 years from now, but assuming we're still around doing it, we'll probably see a lot of knights and dames.
Yeah, there's going to be a big chunk of knights and dames.
So look forward to that. All you supply droppers right now, you are on the path to knighthood.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. And thank you, Raul S.
Thanks, Raul. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Raul S.
It's all good. I didn't see a note or nothing, but 3113.
Appreciate it.
Next up, Poco Jojo's in town.
Poco Joe 33.
Yeah, Poco Jojo 33.
Is it Jojo or Poco Joe?
Oh, no. Poco Joe 33. You're right.
Yeah, Poco Joe. Okay. All right. It changed.
Is this a different one?
Mandala effect on you.
Yeah, we had a Poco Jojo, but this is Poco Joe 33. Wonder if they're related.
Maybe they evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, they came in with 1111.
11.
Now, Poco Joe 33 sent in a pretty long email, but with a very interesting theory that I'll just summarize here. They did an interesting breakdown of what's going on with the gun control debate, the school shooting thing, the talk about putting armed guards in schools or just everywhere, basically, and sort of connected that to the Flippy conspiracy with the robots, and I think even more so now with the Daleks, I think it fits in with Dalek, that there might be a move towards, if we can't trust humans with guns, who can we trust? We can trust the AI. We can trust the robots. So armed robot guards in schools and things like that. I think it's only a matter of time before that theory is proven there, Poco Joe 33.
I keep saying that there's a the only solution that's going to, become a thing as we move forward. If you look at history, how this works, it's surveillance. And what are robots? They're kind of like little
evil.
Not all robots are evil. How dare you? No, but they are surveillance mechanisms.
Yeah.
They have to monitor their surroundings. They have to know where they are spatially to walls and active shooters.
Yeah, and then put a gun on there. You're fine. You're good.
What if
robots.
you can't? The gun control people are like, no guns, at all, and they just give him like a little stabby dagger. So like a Dalek with a dagger.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Sounds great. That'd be good. Gonz is a fan of arming robots with knives. The note continued and said, although I understand the heavy feeling you have, Gonz, let us remember that Psalms 139:8 says, even in the depths, he is there, and the darkness is not dark to him. Our God is still on the throne. Poco Joe 33.
Hallelujah.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Poco Joe 33. Next up, we got producer Morv. And Morv is on a 99 episode streak.
A streak for every year of the life of Henry Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger, yes, the Kissinger streak. Wow, one more until you hit 100 more. That is so impressive. We're very excited. We'll need to make sure to get that 100 jingle ready for more. What if he missed next episode? He's just like, no, I'm done. Gas is too expensive.
I need food on the table for my children.
Yeah, makes sense. We wouldn't blame you. Morph comes in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Morph comes in for 11:11.
Thank you very much.
No note.
All right. Thank you, Morph.
So, next up, we got Isaac G. Coming in with, I think it's 11:11. Thank you very much.
11.
With fees.
And a note. Genesis 8:22, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Stay blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Isaac G.
Isaac G, are you suggesting that God created climate change? Like he programmed climate change into the world?
If indeed it's real. If dinosaurs are real, God made them. If climate change is real, God made them.
Mm-hmm.
If, I don't know. I couldn't think of a third funny thing to say.
God loves Henry Kissinger too. Oh, such a hard thought to swallow.
That's why God is God.
That's why God is
God.
We are not.
Is my shirt just extremely bright to you?
Something happened. Yeah, you got some. I don't know.
The
what
light
happened.
is changing. I've turned into some sort of angel of light over here.
You are definitely glowing like the Queen is glowing green in the background. You and the Queen are merging into
the Queen. What is this?
Yes.
Okay, we're moving on. Next up, we've got Sir JC Knight of the Techno Squatch, who has hit that 111 streak.
Okay, 1001.
1001. Amen. 111.
Triple ones.
111. Triple ones.
Congrats, Sir JC Knight of the Techno Squatch. And he says a little note here. It says, Gary, what day is it?
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
And said, just wanted to thank you both for all the helpful content that you guys create. It is truly a nourishing spiritual supplement. Thank you very much, Sir JC.
Praise God.
What a nice thing to say.
Appreciate it.
Let's see here. We've got producer bot LX Protocol V2 coming in on a 40 episode streak.
Oh, where is that? There it is. Yeah. Thank you, Alex Protocol.
And then he comes in with sevens and fees. The only sevens and fees person to come in so far, which is weird. He says, Gary, what day is it?
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
It says, keep praying for those who are struggling. Most of all, we pray for the salvation through Christ. God bless you too. Thank you very much. Yeah. Amen indeed. And that would have concluded our list of producers who came in the amount of 777 or more. Again, it's kind of the new normal, this little handful group we get every show, which we're very grateful for. But we had a couple people slide right in during the show.
Wow.
And one of them was over 777, and that was producer Benjamin S.
Benjamin S. They're on a streak, right? It sounds like Benjamin S. came in.
They pop in every here and there.
Thought I saw Benjamin S. on the last one, but maybe not.
I don't know. I'm looking now. No,
that's okay.
Thank you, Benjamin S. Has a little note dropping in my share. I value both of your work. God bless. Say a prayer for me.
Thank
okay,
you.
We will. Why don't we call the producers? We haven't done that in a while.
What's going on?
Producers, assemble!
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
Benjamin S.
That is it. That is everybody who comes in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles you to have a nut right on the show. I don't know why I'm talking like this now, but this is just how I talk now.
The glowing effect is changing your speech.
This is just who I am. Just who I am. But I want to thank a few people who came in under that, and I'll thank them now, starting with Joey.
Joey.
Yeah.
All right, Joey.
I'm seeing here. Joey came in during the show. I'm reading this note here. Yeah, let's hit the producers real quick.
Producers again.
Yes.
Here we go.
Producers, assemble!
So, couple things. First of all, he came in under 777.
Okay.
So we usually don't read a note. But this is, I believe, Joey's first time. He didn't ask for a demooch, but let's demooch him if you got that laying around. Yeah. And I'm going to read this because it's a prayer request and it's his first time. So we're going to give it to him. And it says, can you please pray for me? The Lord be my first love, and then I would seek to obey him in everything that I do. Thanks, guys. So there you go, producers. Producers are producers all around the world who pray for the show and are called upon to pray for producers of the show and all sorts of things. So producers out there, we're praying for Joey. We're praying for Joey that the Lord be his first love and that Joey would seek to obey him in everything that he does. So there you go. Amen. You got a whole bunch of people praying for you, Joey.
We got you, Joey.
We got you, Joey. We got you, Joey. Next up, we have producer Jonathan F., who I believe is on a 3-episode streak.
All right.
He's heating up.
And a streak, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan F.
Indeed. Let's see. Am I on the right one? Yes. Okay. We also got Darren S. on a 3-episode streak heating up.
Darren S. You said 3?
Yes.
He's heating up.
Thank you,
we got
Darren
the
S.
streak. We got the Streak sisters, Veronica D. and Gail M. both on 129 episode streaks.
Ooh. I'll do 2.
Quicker.
Big streaker time. Big streaker time. Yes, and a reminder to a couple people, if you've been called out for Gail's Gratitude grab bag over the past week or so, make sure to email canarypeeps@yahoo.com. I believe the previous winners here, if I can get there. I don't know if I can get there. So I don't know. If you won, you won.
Somebody will throw it in the chat if people are watching.
Gail, if you're there, call him out. You know, the thing with doing the Gail's Gratitude grab bag during the break is a lot of people skip the break. But thank you, Gail. Next up, we've got Sir Scott Knight of Truth on a 154 episode streak.
Well, yes, they call him the street. That's saying on 2 feet.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Yep, we got Sir Casey the Shield Knight on 164 episode streak.
I have this streak setter jingle that I don't know that we've played, but I was thinking if it fits, it could work for Sir Casey just because he's sort of leading the pack here.
He's leading the pack. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, it's fine with me. We need something to say right there is the thing. Next up, we got Sir James, Knight and Servant of the Lion of Judah, 96 episodes, almost to 100.
Thank you, Sir James.
Last but not least, we've got Jackie Yu on a 69 episode streak.
69?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that wasn't the right streak.
Oh, that's okay. There you go. That concludes all of the financial producers. Thank you all so much for participating in the value for value model, not just keeping the show going, but proving to the lizard people that we don't need them and their financial reset. We can find our own system that supports the work that we appreciate, brings value to us. No corporation needed to be a moderator between the value we can create and the value that we can receive. There are so very few opportunities in this world that you can have direct value exchange between people without needing some sort of corporate incentive in between. And we're just so grateful that people get it. And if you get it, go on. I dare you. Head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support and support the show. CanaryCry.Radio.com/support. That's right. And thank you all for your patronage.
Why isn't it playing?
I don't know.
Was the volume turned down? Oh, it was. All right, let me try again. Do it one more time.
Oh, and thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patronage.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message. All right. Well, if you go to CanaryCryNewsTalk.com, you'll see a green tab on the side or the bottom. Click on that. Clip on it. Clip it.
Clip it.
And when you do that, you will be able to leave us a message, a voice message. And you're giving us permission to put this message on the air, but it's not guaranteed. Gonz, who's coming in?
We got one. Actually, I think it might be two. Just looking at the time of when this one came in. I think this one came in after the fact. All right, we got one from Polly the Gambino. I think this is unplayed. Here we go.
Hey, Polly here. Gonzo, you were a little sad on Friday. I don't like to see it. You know, 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as you're doing. So, Gonzo, I'm here to try to build you up, encourage you, all right? I'm going to give you a scripture here to try and encourage you. All right, here we go. I'm going to do a poem style because I can't do Rochelle. She's too good a singer. I'm not. All right, I'm going to do a poem style. Roses are red. Violets are blue. Do you know they're blue? Psalms 55:22. Cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. And he will never let the righteous be shaken. Eh? Listen, Gonzo, on Friday you were a little shaken like bacon when you heat it up real hot and it starts to shake. That's what you were like, Gonzo. All right, buddy? Listen, we encourage you. We'll pray for you. Don't be shaken, buddy. Don't be a piece of bacon. All right? Bada boom, bada bing, bye-bye.
Thank you, Paulie the Gambino. I feel
That's very nice.
much better already, and I already feel better about my time traveling self back in time. You are becoming like your belly is glowing now. What is happening?
My belly is glowing. We have hit this time in the day when the light from the window is now shining directly on me. And I need to do something about this for next episode.
There are things called curtains. That's an option.
I know. I need to get I need a diffuser is what I need.
Yeah, diffuser would work.
I like the light coming in, but it's too harsh directly on me.
Would do the job.
I know. And so sorry. For those who are watching the video, I'm sitting here trying to adjust my camera settings to make it not so crazy.
Like an orb of light in your lap.
Yeah. My belly is
the
shining like the sun.
The shining one is Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I've done about as much as I can do, and anything else is probably going to be up to you, Gonz.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Right.
I keep just making it worse. I should have never touched it.
I'll see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly.
We got another one here from Rochelle.
Hello, Canarians. Fun Fact Monday. I just wanted to share something I learned from Chuck Missler about something we would normally just skip over in Genesis chapter 5. It is the genealogy of 10 people from Adam to Noah. And he has taken the names, the Hebrew names, Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah, and translated them to what their English would be. So he's taken the Hebrew root, and it makes a sentence like this: Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down teaching that his death shall bring the despairing rest. That's pretty cool. So Adam, means man. Seth means appointed. Enosh, mortal. Kenan, you get it. So anyway, this is a summary of God's plan of redemption hidden right there in a genealogy in Genesis in plain sight. God is amazing. Thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you, Rochelle. Yeah, that's one of the cool things I remember years ago when I was listening to Chuck Missler. That was one of the, I think I went through the whole Genesis study with Chuck Missler. So that was a cool thing there. And I think Rob Skiba did a study as well. He took another passage. I don't remember off the top of my head where it was, but he used the same methodology and came up with a pretty accurate sort of description of what was to come as well. So it's all in there, folks. It's all biblical. Fun. So thank you very much,
Rochelle.
I tried to help you, Basil. It's tough to balance the green screen and the glow. Yeah. The glow is sort of ruining the key. So
it might just be who I am for the rest of the episode.
You're just a glowy yet kind of dark.
More hardware. Gotta get more hardware, folks.
Curtains. All right. Produce the show so Basil can get curtains. Yes, I believe.
Yeah, I got to get some curtains, man. Curtains is expensive.
I believe that is it. If we missed something, let us know.
Okay. Thank you very much to the voice messengers. And yes, if we missed one, we'll get it next show. And there we go. I think we're about to wake up here. So you YouTubers, you're going to need to jump on over to another platform, because what follows next is too hot for ye old YouTube.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And, here we go.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Go to Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. You can find all those links at CanaryCry.Party as well. Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube. Now you see me. Now you don't.
Okay. I couldn't get one of the GIFs to work. The dancing
no
YouTube symbol with the evil eye that's jumping up and down.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.